It all comes down to fungibility, right? Fungibility is when you hold a dollar bill, that dollar bill has the exact same value and the exact same ability to be traded as someone else's dollar bill. They're $2 bills, but they're fungible. That they can be traded with each other. They have the exact same value, and there's nothing unique other than their own serial number, right?
Rip them in half, and you get 50 cents, right? Gotcha.
Almost. So the idea being that, say Hex as a fungible token, the ERC20 is a fungible token, a 10 Hex is the same as any other 10 Hex that someone else has, right? It doesn't, the fact that you have 10 and they have 10 has no difference in the capability of your ability to stake them, sell them, trade them, hold them, right? A non-fungible token is something unique, intended to not be the same as something else, that your value for this one thing could be potentially different than the value for someone else's one thing, even if it's similar. And a great example of that is, say, the VIN number for your car, or the property deed, the tax ID for your property, right, that you have with your county or state, or where you pay property taxes. These are unique identifiers that are already governing our lives and key things determining ownership, determining taxation, and so on. And it is you owning that document that you've signed that has that number on it that says you own this thing, right? And that memorializes that transaction. And an NFT, either a ERC 721 or 1155, is doing the exact same thing. The only difference between the two of them is that an 1155 has the ability to update the metadata and the traits, whereas the 721 does not. And the 1155 is typically used in gaming, but we were actually planning on using something similar with our core staking, where you stake Watt tokens. And there's some functionality there that I cannot reveal yet, but we will be talking about that soon when we get into public testnet. But that stake will be represented as an NFT. If you were to stake some more, we can update that NFT to reflect your increased staking amount. So you're not having to go mint another NFT, right? So there's a great use of this, something unique that you have, but it can be updated to reflect changes that you've made to it. Right. So that's the difference between the 721, which is locked, cannot be changed, and 1155, which can change. From a gaming perspective, maybe you have a character that you're playing and you've changed the stats through your hours and hours of gaming. And you've, those stats are attached to the player, that character that you're playing. And that, if you were to sell that character to another user, you would send that NFT to them theoretically. Right.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I think the one thing I think is interesting with the gamification for NFTs, a concert ticket type thing, I think just creating a list where, someone buys NFT, now they have that access to whatever event or concert. I really think I think for, the new generation, Gen Z, people coming up now, I think in the next decade or so, that's going to be a thing of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go buy this digital thing because if I do, it'll give me access to these parties later on or whatever. I think social events will be, I could see that actually becoming a thing. $1 million JPEGs, not so much, but like that kind of gamification of things going on there. I think I could see that with the youngsters coming up.
It really is cool. Think of it like this, right? If you buy a ticket now, you get an email with all the details. You got to print it out. It's still really on a centralized server. If you go to redeem that ticket at the gate, they have their computer system that has to verify that that ticket is valid. Okay. So really, what's the difference? So if you buy a ticket and that company or organization sends to your wallet address a token, a crypto token, that the metadata saying that you have access to that concert, it has all that built into it. What's the difference? Okay, here's the difference. You can sell it. If you can't attend that event, if you get sick or you have some other plans come up, you're like, ooh, I'm going to miss this event. What do you do with your ticket nowadays? Like, there's no easy way to sell your ticket. You got to give it to your buddy or sell it to a friend or something, right? But with an NFT, if you NFT these tickets, Now, when your plans change and you say, oh, this ticket was $50, I'm going to list it for $49 on the same place I bought it. Okay. And people are currently buying the tickets. They see yours. It's all smart contracted. When somebody else pays, the ticket, goes straight to them. So it's all still safe. Now you're guaranteed to be able to get out of the event and pretty much get all your money back. Where previously you're just kind of screwed. Now it's just going to be an empty seat at the concert, and the venue gets to keep your money, but there's an extra seat. Right? So there are real world use cases that people just have to brainstorm so that we can, it's more than JPEGs. People like their JPEGs in the NFT world. But I think in the coming years, you're going to see other use cases for these NFTs.
Well, the irony, I just had this conversation with a friend this past weekend, and he was trying to convince me. He's like, we don't need crypto for that. He sells custom SAP software integration. And he's like, oh, well, we can do this with all these existing, systems off the shelf and everything. You don't need crypto for any of that. But the reality is, if you go to Live Nation or, you want to buy a ticket to an event and you want to be able to sell that, you got to go to StubHub. Right. StubHub needs integration with Live Nation systems. They need the full control of that whole vertical stack of software that generated the ticket ID, that has control of who can access that to be able to destroy an old barcode, create a new barcode if it's resold to somebody else. All of these things, they need to control all of that. Right. But with a decentralized system where you're now trading that NFT on a marketplace, right? That NFT is no longer a barcode that can be printed out 10 times and sold to 10 people. And then you find out at the door, oh, someone already came in with your ticket, right? Sure. Instead, it's an encrypted, hashed a serial number for that specific entry into that event. You have that NFT on your phone. You can share it and show that and prove you have access, right? That is a decentralized system that anybody can tap into, right? And these markets are things that anybody can be a part of. You don't have to go now to Live Nation or these other companies as the only place, or StubHub, the only place to go sell your ticket, right? Now you can go be in control. And you know what? You're not going to pay the 50% fees or whatever crazy ass fees that those companies put on there. It's insane, right? Yes, you're going to pay like a 2.5% commission for selling an NFT on OpenSea. But, the idea being it's more in your pocket. You can control it. And it allows more venues to tap into it without having to buy into someone else's entire vertical stack integration just to say that they can sell tickets through their one system.